Assalamu alaikum. Today is lecture number 2 of health and social care management. This is the qualification, and the subject is health and safety in health and social care workplace. Okay, so we will be studying, or we will be discussing the unit understand how health and safety legislation is implemented in the health and social care workplace. We have studied first part, in which we have studied a few laws, as well as the few steps in understanding the implementation of legislation in the workplace. Review systems, policies, and procedures for communicating information on health and safety in the health and social care workplace in accordance with legislative requirements. So it means we are basically continuing the previous lecture. Objectives will be that you will be able to understand the review systems, policies, and the procedures for communicating on health systems, and you will be able to understand the legislative information regarding the work requirement. Okay, so let us continue with the fourth act legislation that should be implemented on almost every health and safety workplace. So there is always a history of every law, when it was passed, when it was created, and what were the basic agenda of the law. So let us have a look on this. Fourth law is Disability and Equality Act 2010. The Equality Act 2010 is an act of Parliament of the UK passed during the Brown Ministry with the primary purpose of consolidating, updating, and supplementing the numerous prior acts and regulations that formed the basis of anti discrimination law in mostly England, Scotland, and Wales. Some sections also apply to Northern Ireland. These consisted primarily of the Equal Pay Act 1970, the Discrimination Act 1975, the Race Relations Act 1976, the Disability Discrimination Act 1995, and three major statutory instruments protecting the discrimination in employment on grounds of religion or belief, sexual orientation, and age. So, as the name indicates, this law is basically aimed on the anti-discrimination laws or anti-discrimination rules in almost every part of UK. So this law was basically created in 2010, and it was passed by the Parliament of UK during the Brown Ministry. Okay, what was the purpose of this act? Consolidation, updation, and supplementation of the numerous acts, prior acts that have been used earlier than this Equality Act 2010. So, what were these acts? These acts are mentioned here. Equal Pay Act 1970, Sex Discrimination Act 1975, Race Relations Act 1976, and the Disability Discrimination Act 1995. So basically, Equality Act 2010 was the mixture of all these four acts, depending upon the race, ethnicity, gender, and equality of individuals or citizens of any country. So it was the makeup of all the laws that were based on discrimination in various fields. And altogether, this act stated the rules for anti-discrimination in every part of the country or every community of the country, specifically for the UK. The Act has broadly the same goals as the four major EU Equal Treatment Directives, European Equal Treatment Directives. However, the Act also offers protection beyond the EU directives, protecting against discrimination based on a person's nationality and citizenship, and also extending individuals' rights in areas of life beyond the workplace in religion or belief. Disability, age, gender, sex, sexual orientation, and gender reassignments. So, in short, this act was created just to eradicate the concept of discrimination from every community. Number fifth is the Children Act 2004. The Children Act 2004 is an act of the Parliament of the UK, and the act amended the Children Act 1989 largely in consequence of the Victoria Climby inquiry. The act is now the basis for most official administration that is considered helpful to the children, notably bringing all the local government functions of children's welfare and education under the statutory authority of local directors of children's service. The Act also created the contact point database. This, however, has since been axed. So, Children Act 2004 was basically an upgradation of Children Act 1989, and as the name indicates, this act was mainly prepared for the safety and well-being of the children in any community, especially if there is some law or by rule it is mandatory for the children to play their part in the efficiency of any workplace, or if the children are present some way other in that workplace, if it's a hospital, then maybe they are admitted over there, then what will be the rules, regulations, what will be the laws according to which safety will be provided to the children, proper treatment, proper health care will be provided to the children. So this act was basically based upon all these concepts. The act was created with a certain set of goals, of course. Every act is contained upon certain set of goals. Its primary purpose was to give boundaries and help for the local authorities and or the entities to better regulate official intervention in the interests of the children. So this was actually based upon the safety, based upon the rules, the regulations, the goals that must be responsible for the well-being of the children. But this act also provides some guidelines to the local authorities in order to regulate the intervention for interests of the children. Number six act is again the Children Act 2006. So it means this act is further an upgradation of the Children Act 2004. It requires the local authorities to improve the outcomes for all the young children, reduces inequalities, and to ensure that there is sufficient high quality integrated early years provision and childcare for parents locally. The Childcare Act 2006 has four main parts: duties on local authorities in England, duties on local authorities in Wales, regulation for childcare providers in England, inspection arrangement for childcare providers in England. So, as the Children Act 2004 was not sufficient to provide the basic laws, basic implementation of the laws for the safety of children, for provision of proper health care to the children, so this act was then created. And this act was created to make sure that there will be complete eradication of inequality among children. So, along with the provision of law, this act also directed to prepare a committee that will be inspecting the arrangements, that will be inspecting the implementation of this rule. Okay, so there will be no risk remain behind, that whether the law is implemented or not, whether children are giving proper care and safety in the workplaces or not. Okay, so these were all the rules, six major rules, or you can say six major laws and acts that should be implemented along with the basic law that has been implemented in the country. For example, if we talk about KSA, the main law is Sharia, and the other law that is prevailing along with the Sharia is the health law. Okay, now along with the main basic laws of that country, these are the other, you can say, side laws that should be kept in mind, that should be considered in prevalation of proper rules. Now let us have a look on the systems, policies and procedures. Okay, Beta, is everything clear to you? Do you have any question? Do tell me, please. Okay, good. Next is system, policies and procedures. Health and safety management systems and standards. This is the first point of the system, policies or the procedures. A workplace health and safety management system is set of policies, procedures, and plans that systematically manages the health and safety at work and can help to minimize the risk of injury, illness, from workplace operations. So, in any health and safety workplace, the first thing that should be assured is the safety and health of the staff. When they will be healthy and safe enough, then they will be able to provide the proper uh, provision of healthcare to the patients over there. Okay, or to the, if it is not any health sorry hospital, if it is a pharmacy, retail setup, or any other setup, then not only the patient, the workers will then be able to provide proper provision of health to the customers as well. Okay, a workplace, well designed policies and procedures help organizations comply with the work health and safety legislation and regulations. Of course, for in order to ensure the proper work system in any workplace, it is very important that proper policies and the procedures should be designed, having very specific aims, very prominent aims, prominent rules regarding the workplace. However, a workplace health and safety management system is much more than simply having safety related forms and policies in place and documented procedures. Rather, it is about achieving the measures and the contents of the safety documentation in an ongoing and managed way. Okay, so here it is stated that any health and safety workplace is basically a very simple form of workplace where simply the policies and procedures can be devised and they can be implemented in the workplace. And all the policies, the procedures, the plans that have been basically devised, they should be documented in order to ensure that these things have been implemented for proper functioning of the workplace. A systems based approach is far more effective in protecting the people from harm and meeting safety goals than a system which relies on documentation alone. Okay, so documentation is not only sufficient in order to ensure that there is everything is going smoothly. There should be a proper approach to that documentation, systemized approach of working. You know, for example, it is not necessary that only rules are written on a document and no one is following the rule in any work place. There should be proper provision, proper systemized provision of all the rules. Everyone must follow the rules and regulations. Okay, so documentation alone is not helpful in order for the smooth functioning of any company or any hospital. This is because workplace health and safety management is evolving and continually improving, uses the feedback to manage and improve safety related outcomes, builds on existing health and safety processes, integrates with other management systems, provides for more informed decision making, strengthens corporate culture, and demonstrates due diligence. Okay, so here it is explained that why the documentation is important and why the systemized plan of implementation of rule is important. Both of these things are important because the management system of any health and safety care area is evolving, continually changing. The management is requires continuous upgradation. Safety rules keeps on requires also requires upgradation continuously, and there should be a change in all the rules and regulations throughout the proper functioning. Now, why does this happen? Why everything keep on changing? Why everything requires upgradation? Because when you are working accordingly, when you are working in accordance with the circumstances or according to the needs of the patients, it means when the needs of the patient will change, of course, your rules and regulations need to be improved, need to be changed. Okay, so for proper functioning of health and safety care workplaces, there is a need of proper documentation as well as implementation of the rules. And why? Because everything keep on changing. The circumstances, the management rules, the administration, the provision of staff. When everything is changing, then of course the documented rules and the implementation will also change. Every organization will find that it has some elements of a workplace health and safety management system in place. Okay, so of course, for smooth functioning, for giving, if an organization is aimed upon giving its best, then the organization must know that it should have some management and administration, efficient management and administration working for the organization all the time. And without this, of course, none of the organization will be able to work properly. Okay, the second part is health and safety policies and the application. Now, what will be the policies? First, we discussed about the management systems and standards. Now, we are going to discuss about the safety policies and application. A health and safety policy sets out your general approach to health and safety. It explains how you, as an employer, will manage the health and safety in your business. It should clearly say what does what, when, and how. If you have five or more employees, you must write your policy down. Okay, so again, it is explained that for proper functioning, it is very important that policies should be documented, policies should be written, it should be present in written form in any organization, if specifically if it's any health and safety work area. The policies should be in written form, because if you have more than one employee, okay, so every employee should know his responsibilities, every employee should know what he is going to do, what he is responsible for, and how he will do his work. Okay, so along with the rules and regulations, the policies should be in documented form, the responsibilities should be in documented form. Example of the arrangement details detailed in health and safety policies include risk assessments, safety procedures, training of the workers, consultations such as safety committees or on-site meetings, emergency and evacuation arrangements. Because every health and safety workplace or area is actually dealing with the critical individuals of any community. That is patients. So, because they are dealing with the patients, so the employees, the workers, whether they are physicians, whether they are nursing staff, whether they are simple workers working over there for administration purpose, all of them should be properly trained. They should know what risks could happen in the workplace, what risks they could face, what should be the safety measures. Okay, so in order to have proper efficiency, every organization need to train their workers. There should be the organization should arrange seminars and committees or many other you can say meetings in order to train their workers regarding the risk assessments, regarding the safety protocols, regarding the proper provision of health to the patients. Each and everything should be documented. Your policy should cover three areas. Now, what are these three areas? Let's have a look. Statement of intent. State your general policy on health and safety at work, including your commitment to managing health and safety and your aims. Number two, responsibilities for health and safety. And number three is arrangement for health and safety. Okay, so there should be properly the three parts of every policy that is created for the workers by the higher authorities. And every policy should cover three areas. Statement of intent means what is the statement of that policy. Okay, what is the proper wording of that policy that you should be commit to, that your workers should be commit to. Number two will state the responsibilities in regard of that policy. What will be the responsibility of an individual, of the worker working over there in regard to the policy that has been stated earlier. Number three, what kind of arrangements are required in order to ensure the proper provision of that policy. Okay, Top safety policies for your workplace. Okay, so if we talk about specifically about the health and safety workplace, what should be the safety policies? Health and safety policies. Incident reporting policies, number one. An incident reporting policy outlines your expectations when an employee experiences a safety incident at work. Okay, so this policy states that whenever an incident happen, how it should be reported. Employees should know to report on the job injuries quickly, but this policy goes beyond injury reporting. An incident could be a minor report only injury or even a near miss incident in which no one gets hurt. Conducting investigations for all the incidents will arm you with the most information to make safety improvements and prevent injuries from happening at all. So, in case if any incident happen in the vicinity of that health and safety workplace, every employee should be responsible to report on the job injuries quickly. On the job means on the table during the working hours. So the employees should report the on the job injuries during the work hours immediately. But sometimes this policy not only involve the incident reporting, but it goes beyond that. For example, if an incident is not minor, so it is not minor, so it will not include only the incident reporting thing, but it will also include the management of the incident as well. Okay, so proper investigations will be involved for that purpose, and along with the proper information will be collected, and then the policies will be made in order to prepare the precautions to prevent the injuries from happening in future. Incident reporting, and then comes drug and alcohol policy. It might seem like a given that you expect your employees to come to work free from the effects of drugs and alcohols. However, you still need a substance to use policy outlining your expectations. Be sure to include the misuse of prescription drugs as well as illegal drugs and alcohols. Okay, so this is understood by most of the employees, but almost all the employees. But sometimes, if it is not documented, drug and alcohol policy is not documented, the employees may misinterpret that it will be okay to have alcohol during the working hours. So this policy should also be documented. Okay, and not only the use or illegal use of alcohol, but also the misuse of drugs, OTC drugs. It should also be prohibited during the working hours. This policy is also a great avenue to inform your employees about your drug testing policy. If you conduct post offer random reasonable suspicion or post incident testing, have your employees sign off on that knowledge. Note that post incident testing should be done within 24 hours of an incident. Okay, so if there is uh, uh, chances, or if it seems so that any worker has taken the alcohol or any misused any drug, then the post incident testing should be done, and it should be done within 24 hours to check whether the certain employee has taken the alcohol, or it is just misunderstood by the higher authorities. Third policy is safe driving policy. Chances are a good portion of your employees drive a vehicle. Even if they don't drive for work, they might drive to and from the work. Because driving is so common and so hazardous, we recommend several driving related safety policies. For example, okay, so safe driving policies, they are a must policies to follow by almost every worker, by every manager, every supervisor, or even the director of that hospital. Why? Because if they are not driving within the institution or for the institution, but they must be driving to and from the hospital, so they should follow the policies. Distracted driving policy. The most common distraction while driving is the cell phone use, but drivers can also be distracted by eating, grooming, reaching for objects, or even conversations with the passengers. Have employees sign an agreement to minimize the distractions and specifically cell phone use while driving. Okay, so it should be properly proper directions or proper advice should be given to the employees regarding the driving policies. Okay, they should have given directions or safety protocols that they should drive safely while coming to the office, while coming to the hospital, and while leaving the hospital. Okay, so defensive driving policy, we strongly support defensive driving training for all the employees, regardless of the role in the company. This policy outlines the tenets of the defensive driving, making employees more aware of the simple ways they can be safer on the road. Okay, so how the defensive driving can be made possible if the driver restricts himself from talking to the passengers, or by using phone, by avoiding eating during the driving. Okay, so all of these skills, they should be their information should be given to the employees. Seatbelt policy, wearing a seatbelt can reduce your risk of death by about 45% in a car crash. While you hope your employees are already wearing their seat belts, it's important to have them sign a policy promising to do so every time. It is mandatory for every citizen to follow the rules. But when you're talking about, or when you're concerned about your employees, then this thing, although the driving is not required within an institution, but because your employees are coming to your organization and leaving your organization through their vehicles, by driving their vehicles, so it is also this policy should also be included in the top policies of any organization. Personal protective equipment PPE policy. If your employees regularly do work that requires personal protective equipment, it's smart to have a policy that states the circumstances under which the employees must wear special gear and the proper ways to use it. It's especially important to review this information with the new hires who might not be using to wearing PPE. Okay, so if the employees of your organization, they are working in very sensitive area of organization. Okay, for example, if the nursing staff is working in ITC, intensive care unit, or ICU, or operation theaters, it means they should wear the personal protective dress. Okay, so there should be proper directions, proper policies, or there should be certain regulation laws should be implemented in your hospital in order to wear the protective dress, personal protective dress during the working hours. Lockout tagout policy and procedures. A lockout tagout program protects the employees from the unexpected activation or release of energy from the machinery. When you train employees on your company's lockout tagout procedures, be sure to have them sign an agreement to follow the protocol every time they use hazardous equipment. Okay, if a person is working in MRI area, magnetic resonance imaging, and if he's doing CT scan of the patients, or if he is dealing with the radiotherapy of the cancer patients, then such people, such workers, they should be properly trained. They should be trained that how they will protect themselves from the harmful radiations. Transitional duty policy. Okay, so transitional duty policy. A return to work program is an important part of the claims management. A return to work program is an important part of the claims management. A transitional duty policy lets your employees know that you support an earlier return to work by offering transitional or light duty options if an injury prevents them from doing their regular job. So, for example, if any employee, whether he be a doctor or any nurse or any other just administration worker, if he is having some minor injury and that injury is providing a barrier in their proper working, so there should be relax duty for them, or there should be some relaxed timings for such persons. Okay, so this policy is known as transitional duty policy, that you can leave your workplace earlier as compared to the other workers or other physicians. Health and safety procedures, implementation, responsibility, and training. Health and safety made simple. Appoint a competent person. Choose who will keep you manage health and safety in your business. Prepare a health and safety policy, risk assessments, consult your workers, provide information and training, have the right workplace facilities, first aid in the work, and display the law poster. Okay, so these are the important points, or you can say this is the summary of the safety procedures, implementation, or the responsibilities. Okay, so these points include everything from the hiring of competent person or physician, medical, any medical related person who is going to look after your business. Okay, devise proper health and safety rules, and a risk assessment should be done. Consult your workers regarding the risk assessment and all the health and safety policies. Provide maximum information regarding the training of the individuals, and provide the optimum facilities to the workers. Provide first aid to all the individuals present in your workplace, and display the poster. Means the law poster should include all the policies, from their safety, from the safety of the patients over there, from the safety of the indoor and outdoor persons coming in and out of your organization or business. Okay, a safety and health policy is a written document which recognizes that safety and health is an integral part of the organization's business performance. It is a statement by the organization of its intentions and approach in relation to its overall safety and health performance, and provides a framework for action and for the setting of its safety and health objectives and targets. Okay, so safety and health policy or the law poster, basically it is a document, written document, and in which it is stated that what safety and health laws should be implemented in the organization, and how the organization performance should be improved, and which optimum measures should be taken in order to ensure the safety of the workers as well. The responsibility for safety and health management ultimately rests with the employer. This responsibility is normally delegated to executive directors, senior managers, line managers, supervisors, and employees. Each person's authority and duties should be clearly defined, documented, and communicated to them. The organizational and reporting structure for implementing these duties should be illustrated in an in house organizational chart. In addition, each director on the organization's board needs to accept their responsibilities in providing safety and health commitment and leadership. By ensuring that each member's action and decisions at board levels always reinforce the message in the organization's safety statement, and preventing a mismatch between individual board members' attitudes, behavior, or decisions and the organization's safety statement, so as not to undermine the workers' belief in maintaining good safety and health standards. Okay, now responsibility for safety and health management or safety and health protocols, it is basically dependent upon the employers. The persons who are involved in creating the rules, they have just created the rules and done their job at their part. Okay, now who will be responsible for implementation of these rules? Of course, the employers. They have to make sure their safety as well as the safety of the customers or the safety of the patients. The employers, the word employer include the physicians, the nurses, and all the administration staff as well. Okay, each person's responsibility, each person's duties, they should be documented. So there should not be any conflict among the employees regarding the specific duty. Everyone should know who is responsible for what, who will be doing what. Okay, so ensuring each member's action and decisions at board level always reinforce the message in the organization's safety statement. Okay, every member's decision, suggestion, action, everything, including the circumstances in which the members are working, it should It should be included in the statement of the organization, safety statement of the organization. And secondly, the organization will be responsible, held responsible, that no conflict will occur between the workers, between the employers, regarding the decision of any important thing, regarding the decision of any important step that should be taken for the betterment of the organization. Next is compliance with legislation and guidelines. Now, when the rules have been prepared, the policies have been prepared, the directions have been prepared, everything is done. Now, how to make sure that okay, so it now the next point after everything has been documented and everything has been prepared. Next step is the compliance of all the legislation, laws, and the guidelines. Regulatory compliance is an organization's adherence to laws, regulations, and the guidelines and specifications relevant to its business processes. And what kind of business is running here? Health and safety. So, regulatory compliance is actually related with the organization adherence to laws. It means it is now it comes to the responsibility of organization instead of the employers. Okay, so how the organization is working in accordance with the laws implemented in that community, and whether the organization is basically following the guidelines or not as provided by the government. Violations of the regulatory compliance often result in legal punishment, including the federal fines. Okay, so if any organization, whether it be a hospital or any other school or any other firm, if they are not working in accordance with the laws as directed by the government, then they should be given punishment in form of fines, penalties. Examples of regulatory compliance laws and regulations include the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standards (PCI DSS), Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act (HIPAA), Federal Information Security Management Act (FISMA), Sarbanes-Oxley Action (SOX), EU's General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR), and the California Consumer Privacy Act (CCPA). So these are some of the major acts, some of the major laws that every health organization should be complied with. If any health organization, any hospital, or any health and safety care work area fails to comply with all these acts, then the organization will be going to pay the fines, huge fines set by the government. Okay, why is regulatory compliance important? As the number of rules has increased since the turn of the century, regulatory compliance management has become more prominent in a variety of organizations. The development has led to the creation of corporate chief and regulatory compliance officer and the compliance manager positions. A primary job function of these roles is to hire employees whose sole focus is to ensure the organization conforms to the stringent, complex legal mandates and the applicable laws. Okay, so why it is necessary to comply with the regulatory laws or to comply with the legislation as directed by the government? It is very important because with the passage of time, by the end of the 20th century, the number of rules started to increase. Why? Because of the increase in population of the overall world, because of the increase in the number of organizations, because along with the increase of population, the need of more organizations started to increase as well. Organizations of every kind, education, health, business, and etc. Okay, so because the number of organizations have been multiplying from so long, so it is very important that every organization should comply with the legislation as provided by the government so that other organizations may not get disturbed. Why? By your organization, because when you violate the rules, when you violate the laws, other organization gets motivated to violate the laws also. Okay, so it become very important to comply with the regulations and the guidelines. Record keeping. It is legal requirement and part of the staff's professional duty. It promotes continuity of care and communication with other agencies. Better now. It the slides are clear to you now.
Yes, ma'am, it's clear.
Okay, record keeping. It is a legal requirement and part of the staff's professional duty. It promotes continuity of care and communication with other agencies. It is a tool to help identify themes and challenges in a person's life. It is a key to accountability to people who use services, to managers, inspections, and audits. Okay, why record keeping is a legal requirement, it should be done in accordingly and prior to time, because record keeping is basically an evidence of your performance, of your efficiency, and of the organization's smooth functioning as well. Okay, so it is not only important for the record keeping of employees, but record keeping of the managers, inspection teams, audit teams. It is also very important. Audits only happen when your record is not updated, your record is not according to your efficiency, your work. Okay, so whenever a keeping has been failed by the employee himself or by the organization, then in that case, only inspections and audits have been done. You need good records to monitor the progress of your business. Exactly. Records can show whether your business is improving, which items are selling, or what changes you need to make. Good records can increase the likelihood of business success. Okay, so it is very important to analyze the work progress of your business, work progress of your hospital. Okay, so record keeping actually helps you in analyzing your functioning, analyzing the functioning of your business. Because in this way, by keeping the record updated, you will be able to prepare a graph for the functioning of your organization, for the functioning of any health or social care, safety care area, and by that graph, you will come to know that whether your hospital or your health business is working well or not, whether it requires some changes or not. A health record is defined as any electronic or paper information recorded about a person for the purpose of managing their health. These records will include medical and patient records, case notes, and mental health notes. As the health record is defined as any electronic or paper information recorded about a person for the purpose of managing their health. These records will include medical and patient records, case notes, mental health notes, and obstetric records. General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR). Such record is known as GDPR. And why this record is maintained? Okay, we were talking about the record keeping of the employees as well as the organization earlier, and now we are talking about the health record of the patient. Why it is kept? Because of the management of the health of the patient accordingly. Okay, whether the patient requires some change in the treatment plan, or whether he requires some change in the medicine, or whether he requires another physician to consultation or not. So this record is known as GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation. Good record keeping helps you to conduct better business. Good record keeping can be your proof that you have made considered decisions and taken appropriate actions. Records become your protection if you are questioned or challenged. Without them, you are at risk. Okay, so as I have told you earlier, that record keeping is very important because it is evidence of your efficient working, it is evidence of your performance, it is evidence that you have followed the rules. So if you have not kept your record in documentation form or in written form, then you are at risk because you are unable to provide with the evidence of your performance. Auditing, reviewing, and monitoring systems. An effective compliance program involves constant evaluation and improvement. To keep improving your program, risk areas need to be consistently monitored and audited. Auditing and monitoring are a compliance program's detection mechanism. This element can assist you in finding risks that you have been escalated or in detecting new risks. So auditing always happens, or there is always need to audit your performance when you are facing some risks. You have not documented your performance, or you have basically exaggerated your performance in the documents. So then there is a need to audit the record. Additionally, this element can verify the management has put mechanisms in place to mitigate the previously identified risks. A reporting system is also necessary for staff to use if they encounter instances of non-compliance and are not comfortable raising issues with the management. So, because we are here discussing about the health and safety workplace, here especially the audit is for the purpose of risk management. If the organization has not met the standards, or organization has failed to manage the risks, then audit teams will come, inspect, and identify the risks, the point at which the risks are happening, or the employees will be facing the risks, and why the organization basically fails to manage the risk by itself. The reporting system is a safety mechanism for an employee to feel free to raise issues without the fear of retaliation or retribution. So, when we studied in your previous subject about the organizational structure, we studied over there that centralized organizational structure, they work in the form of a pyramid hierarchy. Every person who is present at the bottom level of the pyramid has to report to his boss, and further his boss is going to report to the higher authorities, and finally the director of that organization or the hospital. So a reporting system is very important, because when you are working, you are going to report about your work. You can add the fears or the risks or the barriers that you are facing during your work, and in this way the higher authorities will be able to know that which points of the working area should be improved or needs improvement. With these tools and processes in place, an organization demonstrates its commitment to continually improving its compliance program. Okay, so in this way, uh, the organization is basically complying with the legislation of the government, provided by the government. Every compliance program should have an auditing and monitoring plan, and this can be conducted by the compliance program itself or by another department in the organization. Either way, a plan should be developed according to the priority risks identified in the compliance risk assessment. Okay, so beta, this was all about the reviewing reporting system and the policies and the implementation of laws and the legislation in any health and safety work area. So I hope so you will be able to understand the health and safety legislation implementation in health and safety workplace. So if you have any question, you can ask me. Okay, good. Okay, now please can you tell me in short that basically Children Law 2004 and 2006 states what, or basically they have been created for which purpose in short? Children law, both children law, 2004 and 2006. Children law 2004 and children law 2006. Yes, it's for which population? Adults, elderly, or which population? Yes, exactly. It was basically aimed on the safety and procurement of safety, you can say, for of the children.